actually New Zealand's longest running paranormal team to our village. And so our roots actually go back to 1984, hello. And that's when Mark over there started this whole shebang. So we've gone through a few incarnations, which is why you'll see some people have got the haunted Auckland stuff as well. So we recently became Paranormal New Zealand because we wanted to acknowledge the fact that a lot of the work we were doing was not in Auckland anymore, it was all over. So that's what we've done. So we are a bit different to what you would see on TV. So how many of you have seen the Warner Brothers Paranormal channel on TV, like linked through TV3?
Is that like Jack Osborne?
It's so when you go into 3 now, like 3 on demand, and then you click live TV, there's a whole channel of paranormal TV shows running 24/7. So it's got all your usual Zach Bagans on it, and it's got your Paranormal Lockdown and all the Holzer Files and all those things. So
Until June.
until June. So make the most of it.
Until June.
So we are a bit different to some of those. So we are not ghost hunters. We are not your Ghost Asylum Wraith Hunter team that go out to try and capture ghosts. That's not what we do. We're not Ghostbusters. We do not go into homes and exercise ghosts. We don't go in to a house and try and kick ghosts out. That's not what we are. We are a research team. So we are actually looking for the evidence that they're there, okay? Because there's part of us that sort of go, well, they were probably here first. Like, why are we kicking them out? That sort of thing. So we want to know what is going on first. And then if someone really does want them out of the house, then we will connect you to people that will do that for you. So none of us in here are mediums. So a lot of teams you'll see on TV and around will say that they're psychics, they're mediums, they're whatever. None of us are. We are researchers. We walk that line between being cynical but also believing and wanting to find the evidence as well. And so that's our team. So we're a little bit different. We spend a lot of time debunking things more than anything else. So we are focusing on paranormal. That's also why we moved away from the haunted Auckland to Paranormal New Zealand, because we're looking at anything that is slightly out of the ordinary. So you do end up with certain team members that like cryptids. They like all that as well. So different people have different things they like. I'm boring, I just like the ghosts. That's me. But you talk to Natasha and Mark, you'll get the good stuff on everything else. So that's pretty much what we're looking at. So as a team, just to give you some background, we have investigated a lot of New Zealand locations over time, different team configurations. So if you go on our website, down the side, there is actually a whole list of all the places, and you can go in and see the reports and the photos and the videos and everything of where we've been. Vulcan Hotel that you hear about, Fever Hospital in Wellington, which is a good one. Napier Prison. Mark has a fascinating story to tell you about Napier Prison. And Howick Village, Puanui Homestead, which we'll talk about. Carrington, all those sorts of things. So we've done a lot of those, but we've also done a lot of international locations as well. Last year was quite a big year for us internationally. So last year we went to Australia, we went to Arrowdale Asylum, which if you get to go to Melbourne, it is well worth driving that couple of hours to go to Arrowdale. They have fabulous teams running tours there. It is amazing. It is spooky as anything, but you get full walk around run, and Mark tells us we don't ever say anything is haunted, but I honestly felt the most I have ever felt in a location at that location. So Geelong Jail, we did a whole lot of jails. I love jails, that's my thing. Jails and asylums, so I went to about 4 in Melbourne. Boleskine House, if any of you know that, so, Cashin's Gap. Does anyone know about Jeff, the talking mongoose? Jeff is if you look him up, he's a fabulous story. This family had a mongoose. So think long-tail possum type thing, and it would talk, and it would do magic tricks, and all these things. No one ever saw it, but it would leave you things, and there's this whole story about this talking mongoose. And so last year Mark went to the place where the mongoose lived and all these things. That was great. The old ancient Ram Inn that you've probably heard of as the oldest, most haunted place in England. All the adventurers have been there. Mark's been there a couple of times. Twice, yeah. 30 East Drive that everybody hears about, Black Monk, Pontefract, all that. Mark's also been there. He had it. Twice, yeah. We went to Norfolk Island with Tess, went with us. So we went to Norfolk Island. Norfolk Island is an amazing place because all the historical places are open at night time. They're all unlocked. Anyone can go in and investigate. So all the old jails, the old buildings, everything, which is pretty cool. And it costs you nothing. You just go and you sit and you try and communicate. Funniest thing was we were trying a few things and we used spirit box sweeping, which we don't usually do. We just thought, let's give it a go. And the funniest thing is there are no radio stations on Norfolk Island. So, and that's what makes it work. So we were actually picking up, Natasha tells me there's 2 radio stations. We were actually picking up what we thought was possibly a Russian submarine because it was speaking Russian at us. So we're like, that might not work so well. So we've also done Greyfriars Kirkyard, Nottingham Castle, Chillingham Castle, all the big ones that you've seen on all the TV shows as well. This year Natasha and I have just booked for Halloween. We are going to, where are we going, Natasha?
Salem, Massachusetts.
So we're going to the Witch's Ball, we're doing all that stuff, and as part of that we will be going to the Conjuring House. So we will be going there, and we're also going to Lizzie Borden's bed and breakfast. So we're like, oh, so excited. So yes. So locally though, for the locals here, this is some of the local places that we have investigated. So obviously you've got to have King's Seat on there. We've been to King's Seat, we've slept in King's Seat. We have walked amongst the upstairs ruins, knee deep in pigeon poo and everything else in King's Seat. St. Stephen's, which of course is wonderfully being done up now, which is really great. Mercer Morgue, did you guys know there's a morgue at Mercer? And anyone can go there. You have to ask us where it is, I'll tell you. There's a jailhouse at Mercer right next to Tapina School as well. We obviously done the museum here a few times, the Kentish Hotel across the road. They're fabulous. They keep sending us footage all the time of new things that they've got going on, which we love. Alexandra Redoubt, just up in Tuako, and the cemetery there's some famous people buried up there. If any of you have heard of the Crew murders for Pukekohe, Jeanette and Harvey are buried there, as well as Ewan Gilmore and a few other people are there as well. Manukau Heads Lighthouse, Glenbrook's Steel Mill Lookout, and most recently we went to the Waiuku Forest when a local on the Waiuku page actually commented that they caught some interesting EVPs there. So we went to go to the forest. Yeah. So that's sort of us. So when we're not sitting in dark, dirty, musty rooms, we often get to share our experiences. So often we are doing interviews. So one of the most recent ones, a lot of radio shows will call us up. So we've been on like Polly Gillespie and those kind of things. And there's a really good show I want to plug, which is the Paranormal After Dark with the roadie. He's great. So Brian is wonderful. So look that up. It's worth having a listen to that. We've been on 7 Sharp. We've done some documentaries. We've been in Metro magazine. We've done all these different supernatural shows in Australia. And we've got our own little things like Pint of Paranormal and Q&A Zooms that we do every now and then. Mark was at a conference at the Parameet last year, so he was over there hanging out with all the people that I love, like Penny Griffiths-Morgan and Neil Story and all these things. I'm like, oh, fangirling. So we've got all that, and then of course we've got public events like this where we go out. So we do a lot of different things, but pretty much to walk you through what we do on an investigation. So usually we turn up, we walk through the venue, we'll take pictures in the light so that we can debunk anything. So there's some really famous cases where people have gone, oh my gosh, we've got this picture of this young girl up this corridor. When you actually look, it's a fire extinguisher. And that happens quite a lot. So you need to get everything in daylight so you can see where everything is before you start, for those weird shadows and those pixelated blurs, especially with night shot on your camera. So we do all that. We'll speak to anyone who's had the locations, we collect that information, we set up all our equipment, we take the pre-readings. So you've all heard of the K2 meter, the EMF that beeps and things. We go around and we have to find where all the hotspots are with the wires, the burglar alarms, all those things that are going to set it off. So we get all that so we can ignore those areas. We then will listen to the building to hear. So, I mean, if you stop now and you just listen to this building, I'll stop talking, just have a listen to what you can hear. It's pretty quiet. Now, later tonight, I want you to do the same thing again in a couple of hours and listen, and it's going to sound completely different because you're going to have sound traveling across the nighttime. It's going to be coming in. You're going to start to hear the building cooling down, creaking, making all sorts of noises, all those sorts of things. So you have to be aware and you have to be paying attention to that. Once we've done all that stuff, then we start the investigation. So it can be a really boring start for the first hour or so. From there. There is a lot of sitting quietly doing nothing. A lot of sitting doing nothing. And you'll be doing a lot of that tonight. There's also even more sitting after reviewing footage. So say we were somewhere for 4 hours, each of us might have a couple of video cameras running and a couple of like audio recorders, etc. So you imagine that we've now got 4 hours of equipment on every single one of those pieces of equipment, and we have to watch the whole lot, listen to the whole lot, multiple times. And so that's really boring. It is really boring. And you're, what was that? Oh no, that was a fart. yeah. But we get these messages, oh my gosh, is that such and such? And we're like, oh no, it was a car outside. And we think we've caught this amazing clip. At one point we thought we'd got this amazing child's giggle, but it wasn't. It was actually one of us. So it's like, it takes a while, but you work it out.
Who was it, Aimee?
It was Barbara. It was Barbara. It wasn't me. It was
This is
Barbara.
another one. Okay.
That was the one at the lake house. There was a few
I
times.
think it's Meta.
The
Baby crying?
Yeah, the baby crying, and it was me. Yeah. So we do have a range of equipment. There is equipment that is really popular, particularly on TikTok, all those things. We avoid like the plague. So one of those things is cat balls, and everybody loves cat balls. The problem is, if you understand how cat balls were invented, they were invented to entertain cats. And so, if you leave it for a while, it stops, and then it will automate itself to start flashing again to gain the cat's attention. Which is exactly what it does to a person. If you put it on the floor in a dark room and you're going, is anybody here? It started flashing. Yeah, of course it did, because that's how it's programmed to work. So it's being aware of your equipment and how it works. So if anyone has any cat balls, not to put them down, but what you need to do is you actually need to sit and time them for an hour and monitor every single time they go off by themselves. What are the time increments? And then keep going and test it to see if it happens the same every time, because then you know it is not going to be reliable, because it's going to keep going on. The same as some actual pieces of equipment do that, and so when you go on tours they don't tell you that, and you think, oh, it's talking to me. It's not. It's automated to go off at a certain amount of time. So some of the equipment bits I've got here, the essential kit. There's nothing essential other than the thing. Having some energy drink, that's my essential. So what we do is we have a couple of different pieces of equipment. So you might see something like this on your Ghost Hunters or Paranormal Lockdown. This one's going to play out from now. So ignore the fact that it's beeping, it doesn't like my batteries, they're a bit flat. That's the other thing, if your batteries are a bit flat, it will give you false lights. People like to do that with REM pods on TV shows. They make them go off by having low batteries. So one of these will actually, the different lights tell me different things. So the bottom one is actually giving me that EMF, like what you see on a K2 meter when you see it on the show. That will tell me if there is any electromagnetic. We've also got vibration as well, if there's anything going on. If the temperature is going up significantly higher or lower, it will tell me that. That's the one that I will pay attention to. I don't worry if the actual temperature is going up by 0.1, 0.2. That's nothing, that's normal, that's a breeze in a room. So I'll look at that. It also tells me pressure and humidity in the room. So this is kind of useful in some ways. I much prefer just a simple, straight off sort of, where did we get these off? Was it Amazon or something?
AliExpress, bro.
AliExpress, really expensive. AliExpress, again, just EMF, temperature, simple, okay? You do not have to be forking out money at Ghost Stop or any of those places. Case in point, Ghost Stop. When I was in the UK, I actually went on one of the most haunted experiences with a vet fielding. I've heard. So they were using one of these. And I'm like, oh my gosh, and I looked on Ghost Stop and they were like $400 or $500 US. And I went, ah. And at the time I was in England, so I went on their version of eBay, £20. So 40 New Zealand dollars. And I was like, it's a child's toy. It is not a ghost piece of equipment. It is a toy, but I use it as a trigger object. So when I turn him on, his name is Meep. That's his name. So Meep will self-balance, hopefully. Maybe not in that. And he sits, and he self-balances, and he will rock backwards and forwards. What happens to Meep is if you put your hand in front of him, he will go forwards or backwards or move. So that's why he's a trigger object. So we put him on the floor, and the last time we used him at the Harrington, he whizzed off on his own with no one telling him what to do. So that was quite exciting. So, but that's the thing, I saw it and I'm like, I'm gonna give it a go. I don't know if it's gonna work, but we can play with him tonight and see. He will talk absolute gobbledygook, ignore it, it means nothing. It just, yeah. And when you're ignoring him, he yawns and he gets a bit rude. So. Main historic trigger object, Mr. Smiley. So he's been around for the long haul. He is fantastic because he's slightly deflated and he has a habit of sometimes moving, which is really good. So he's a great object when we're trying to get maybe younger child spirits or something to connect with us. We have dowsing rods, which you'll be able to try tonight if you want to have a go with dowsing rods. And then he's not got his antenna in today, but this is Brandon the bear, my high-tech $2 shop toy that I ripped a massive big hole in the back of his head, and I put a proximity meter with a big antenna around his head. And that again is for children. Oh,
I brought mine.
oh, thank you. We'll be able to use them. So that is again, if children go near him, he will beep, and we know that we've got someone. Okay, so it's just a bit of an update on those little REM pods that you see lighting up elsewhere. So we've got a whole lot of other equipment. You know, we can use the heated camera things and that sort of stuff. We don't tend to use the SLS, the little stick fan that you'll see. They are really good at making people out of chair legs and everything else. So it's not right. We are always experimenting. We do bring in different sorts of things. We've had a lot of fun looking at the theory behind things, and I know a lot of people have a problem with Ouija boards. They think, oh my gosh, I'm not going near a Ouija board. But at events like this, we will pull. Have we got any tonight?
Got 3, yeah.
Okay. So we will pull them out for anyone who wants to try them. So if you want me to tell you the brain science behind it, I'm happy to do that and ruin it for you. Or you can sit and, yeah, scare yourself. But what we do with the Ouija boards is we use different Ouija boards, and you get very different responses on different Ouija boards. I'll just say that. So yeah. So just some examples of when we're saying we're debunking. Lens flare is the biggest thing you're going to see, particularly online when you go to any of your Facebook websites or anything like that. So you'll get your flares and things that are happening that people may think is perhaps a ghost. You will also get pareidolia, which is where from the moment you're born, your trained to see faces and things. That's why sometimes when you look at the taps on the bath, it looks like a face or the front of a car or whatever else. And so you start to see things. So this here was actually a stain that was in this room, I think. Is it still there? Yeah. So it kind of looked, when it was fresh, like the shape of a lady.
Still looks like a lady.
Yeah. And so you get things, so like here there was a face, I don't think it shows up that well here, but there was a face up here and in the glass. Sometimes you get handprints, things like that. So again, that's something to be aware of. If your picture is really low resolution, you're probably going to get that. Your brain is going to try and see things. So especially when you see those things like the Gettysburg photos and people are seeing soldiers in the foresty, bushy things, it may be comparable. We also have reflections going on. So this is a picture that was taken downstairs. I think it was on our first or second time here. I can't remember. So everyone's like, oh, there's a face. There's a face. There's a face. It's Jane. So you're like, wow, the doll's haunted, but no, that's just Jane smiling at everybody. So
Resident ghost.
yes. So again, it's knowing your area, knowing who's in the room when that photo is taken. Because a lot of people go, I was there, I was the only one in the room. And you're like, were you though? So excuse the shot of Natasha's body. Orbs. Lots of people love to post orb pitch. So, boom. Did you see it? Dust. We were underneath a theatre stage. Dust. People will tell us, there's no dust in my house. You can come live at my house because there's lots of dust there. You can clean up my dust, that's fine. There is dust everywhere. There is air currents everywhere. So, unless it does amazing things and changes direction and size and colour and all sorts of things, it's dust. Or it's a spider web. That's another common one. With the use of IR, with like Ring cameras and all these security cameras now, they are really bad at picking up particularly bugs, spider webs, dew, all that stuff. So that's why there's a sudden raise in people capturing ghosts. It's not, it's the way the cameras work. So here, so that you're aware what we've had here, our first time we were here, there was a shadow figure over in that corner there that we saw when we were here. There have been unexplained bumps in the vestry, and I've got like a little video of some of that for you. We've had some quite good dowsing rod communication that other people were having in the vestry, the schoolhouse, and the jailhouse. We had some push-light communication in the downstairs living area, so that's where it's like those little pot lights that you push down and click, but these were coming on without any click noise or anything like that. And we've had some reported doll movement in the dolls downstairs. So I just thought I'd show you, if you're okay, just a couple of little videos for anyone before we get on with it. So this was at the King's Gate in Rotorua. These are a couple of things that are still like unexplained at this point that we're still working through and we need to go back. So this was Mark's room. This is reported to be the haunted room. There was meant to be a lady there that didn't like married men or single men. I can't remember where. Mostly men. So of course Mark stayed in that room. That's Mark. And in the morning he woke up and the key was here. It had been on the table in the night. And so, as like all sane people do when you go stay in a hotel, we record ourselves sleeping because that's what we do. And so this is Mark sleeping. I don't know if I got the snoring out of it. But this is Mark on the bed laid here. This table is just over here.
So focus on the keys there.
Yeah. And just listen. It's not. No.
They get me every time.
Yeah.
We don't do that to people, by the way. We don't do jump scares.
Often.
Mhm.
Oh, it's longer than I remember.
Just repeat it so you can hear. And you can just see it going from here. So, of course, to debunk that, we went, and the first thing we did was we went to all the GeoNet sites to look at seismology, because we're in Rotorua. Is there anything that's vibrating? Are there any trucks going past or anything like that? What's going on? Nothing aligned with that time that it happened. So, I want to go back and try a few other things when we get back there. So this was another one. It was a torch throwing incident, which is at Puanui House, where Mark was the only one in the building. To my understanding, yeah, you were the only one there. He was sleeping downstairs, and a torch was up on the top, so it goes round the corner and up, and there was a torch up on a chair. Yeah,
A flat torch, not a round one, so it can't roll.
yeah, a
It's a
flat
flat
torch.
torch.
So, oh, hang on, too fast. It works. You're not gonna work for me. Oh no. Oh well.
It's on the YouTube channel.
It's on YouTube. You're gonna tell what she's up.
Yeah.
Alright, let's see if this one works. Oh, you're funny now, aren't you?
That one's on YouTube as well anyway.
Yeah,
It's all there.
it's all there, we've got heaps. No, it's not gonna let me fast forward through. So you can hear clicks, you can hear noises. That's not Mark.
This was 3 o'clock in the morning, so I was fast asleep.
Someone didn't like to be in there.
So, Mark and the team actually went back and tried to work out how to even get the torch on that angle to get it to go the way it did, and it was quite difficult to even be able to do that. Quite some force. Yeah. That's not just, I just accidentally rolled off a chair. Yeah, so that's on our on the YouTube if you want to see the whole thing. This one though, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to show you because I don't know, let me. No, it's not going through. Okay, we'll skip that one. This is the vestry here at Waiuku on our first public event.
I don't know if you
here.
guys want to do like try and do another communication session in here. Yeah, that was the second
Yeah,
time I
that's the
heard
second
that.
time now. There was one probably about a minute and a half ago as
Yeah,
well.
that's the second
But
time
that
I
was
heard that.
actually,
That was a good one. Yeah, it was.
You can hear how loud
The
that was.
first one was in the left corner,
Over there.
behind the altar.
Yeah. I heard something out there. I thought Sam was on the steps, but not walking up the steps like a bang like that. But that was a good bang.
That was a very good bang.
Yeah. The first one wasn't so loud.
No, it
but that
wasn't so
one was.
loud, and it came from the left behind the altar as it's dressed.
Yeah.
And then that one was on the right hand side behind the altar.
We'll get up the Is it anyone here?
Yeah. So, by the altar, just keep it, listen out for that. And some of you may know about Patty at the lake house. We go to the lake house a lot. So these are those little pop lights that we were talking about. We're trying to work out a name with
My rod's crossed on the letter P, is that correct?
Delta World.
Can turn the light on. P. Okay, so if your name starts with a P, can you turn the light off now? does your first name start with the letter P? Pa. Yes? Okay. Good.
So we went through a couple of times, we had various questions and we were getting like answers. So anyway, that's a long one. So again, there's lots of that. There's actually video of me playing dominoes and things using those pop lights with Patty, and I'm not. Yeah. When we went, we've got no video for this. When we went to Matamata Firth Tower, it's one of those places where there's loads of interesting smells, and you go into rooms and suddenly you smell cigarette smoke, and then it's gone, or there's perfume, or there's things like that as well. So we've been there. That's on our to return place. So you're not here for me to stand and talk at you. You're here to get out there and do some stuff tonight. So following on tonight, if you want to get more involved, we're on Facebook, we're on Instagram, we're on YouTube, we're on all those things. But the easiest thing is just to message us directly, which you can do. We've got our own website. Loads of our stuff is on there as well. And we love it if people are going out capturing their own stuff and sharing it with us. That's awesome. So we're going to go and explore the museum now. So how many of you have actually been around the museum before? A couple of you, a few of you? Cool. So we've got the main museum here. We've also got, remind me Jane, we've got the
school building,
school building,
the vestry,
and the jail.
and the jail.
Beautiful. So that's where we're going to be going around tonight. So what we'll end up doing is splitting the group into smaller groups. You'll get to go to all the places, we'll go around a little bit, and then we'll come back here, have some supper, some nibbles and drinks and things like that. And then after that, if you want to go back to any particular places, we'll take you back to those ones that interested you the most. Okay. What time are we imagining that we're probably finishing tonight?
About midnight.
About
About midnight. Supper will be about 9.
Yeah.
But we can start off with a bit of a tour around the place while we've got daylight.
Yeah.
Do a bit of a tour. So you scout out the place, so you can check it out and find out what it's like in daylight. Then we'll split up into teams, go and do our bits and pieces in various different buildings. Get joined up again at 9, do the supper. Then after that we can have time where if you want to go out and investigate a place by yourself or with a partner or whatever, you're more than welcome to do that. We will have a couple of week boards set up maybe up here I suppose. What is we're supposed to have it? Up here or in the jailhouse again? I don't know.
Maybe we start up here and then we'll see later on.
Yeah.
But
But no reason, if you don't want to do it, you don't have to do it.
you don't have to do it. If you want to avoid it, definitely, we totally respect that. So we'll take some various pieces of equipment to different places, that kind of thing, so you'll get a chance to have a play around with different things over the night. Okay.
Are there any questions? No.
No?
They know it all.
They know. Do the shirts glow in the dark? No, they don't. Because, could you imagine how it would be cool, but you'd be taking photos going, wow, that's an amazing lens flare.
Yeah.
Great.
I think it's a question.
Yes.
What if I do take photos? What's
Yeah.
the best thing? Is it like night vision? What's
Same.
the on a normal what that's
Yeah.
what I'm trying to say.
Night vision is good, but it will overlay and it will pixelate.
Oh, yeah,
So that's the thing. So it's
just
actually, it's better to be able to, I mean, Sam's our proper resident photographer, really.
no pressure.
Yeah, no pressure. But we tend to have like a little bit of lighting, so we don't take things completely in the dark. So we'll have infrared lighting and things like that happening as well, just to help the cameras a little
Oh,
bit.
yes.
Do you do anything extra on yours, Sam?
Not for ones that I think have potentially something in it.
Yeah.
Like for events and things like that, I'll tart the photos up a little bit in Photoshop and things like that. Make it look
Yeah.
nice. But if I think I've captured anything, it's best kept natural.
Yeah.
Just for the sake of anyone wanted to debunk it.
Yeah.
If you have doctored the photo, it would be in the dark or on the digital file.
And that's the thing, so the more fancy settings you've automatically got turned on your phone or your camera, whatever, the worse it is for actually being able to work out what you've actually got in that picture. Yeah.
We've got some really cool IR and UV cameras. So we
Yeah.
can use UV lights and it does not pixelate.
Oh,
Takes
I've got to
down.
give you your lens.
Cool. Alright, so, did you want to take the tour? Are we all going just for
Yeah, I reckon we'll go
a
together.
big tour
That's
to
fine.
start with? Yeah. Beautiful.